Hi theory students. Today we're going to talk about leading tone chords built on scale degree 7 or in a minor key raised 7. In part 1 we'll be talking about the triad built on the leading tone used in first inversion, and we'll also be talking about the 7th chord built on the leading tone in both major and minor keys. Let's start with the triad built on the leading tone. It serves as a 5-7 substitute containing scale degrees 7, the leading tone, scale degree 2, and scale degree 4. You may recognize that as the 3 upper notes of a 5-7. But without scale degree 5, it's not as strong as the dominant. It's used primarily in first inversion, that is to say with scale degree 2 in the bass, since that gets the tritone out of the bass. What I mean by that is that the tritone is formed between scale degrees 7 and 4. And if scale degree 2 is in the bass, then neither of the notes of the tritone are formed with the bass. It's usually used to expand the tonic, and that we sometimes double the third of the chord, which would be the bass note. We occasionally double the fifth of the chord, but we never double the root, which would be the leading tone. Important thing to remember, all voice is resolved by step. The leading tone goes up, just like in the 5-7, scale degree 4 goes down, and scale degree 2, when it's doubled, goes both ways. One of them will go down, one of them will go up. When this happens, it resolves to a tonic chord without a fifth in it. And I'll show you a few ways to fix this. It's time to look at some examples. Here in G minor, I'm going to write a 7-6 chord. Let's put A in the bass, that's scale degree 2. And let's put F sharp, the leading tone, there. And I'm going to put scale degree 4 here. And I'm going to double the A. So what happens now is the leading tone goes up. Scale degree 4 goes down. One of these A's will be going down. If I'm going to a 1-6, I do it that way. If I were going to a root position 1 and the A in the bass goes to G, then the tenor A goes up to B flat. It sounds like this if we're in G minor. Notice over here that I have 1 2/3, 1 2 roots. And for once, this kind of doubling is normal. If I wanted to, one of the methods that I've got for getting a fifth in this chord is I've got the leading tone above scale degree 4, and this is arranged as an augmented fourth, not a diminished fifth. So I actually could take that scale degree 4 up to 5 here, because this makes 4 a parallel fourth, not a parallel fifth. So now I've got a complete chord. Notice, by the way, that if I had done things this way, then I'd have to worry about parallel fifths there, or at least uneven fifths, diminished fifth to perfect fifth. One way I can get away from that leading tone is still going to go up. I don't have skips or leaps from this chord, but instead, if I doubled scale degree 4 instead, this would go down so that the diminished fifth moved in contrary motion, but now I can take this other C up because the augmented fourth, C up to F sharp, is now going to a perfect fourth, D to G. And that's another way to do it. Let me show you this in a major key, only this time we'll look at the whole expansion of the tonic. So here's a 1. Here, instead of using a 5-4-3 or a 5-6-4, now I'm going to be using a 7-6, and it's going to go to a 1-6. In this particular case, just as before, if I have bass and soprano in this key, moving in tenths, then what happens, here's our doubling. These two G's in the 7-6, they can't both go up to A, so one of them goes down to F. But the leading tone will still resolve, and composers have accepted the uneven fifths of diminished fifth going to perfect fifth here because of the strength of the progression. So remember, out of the 7-6, all the voices will move by step, and except for this progression, we want to avoid diminished fifth moving to perfect fifth. If we want to complete one chord, the leading tone, as we saw in the previous example, the leading tone here needs to be above scale degree 4, or in cases where scale degree 4 is a note being doubled, the leading tone above scale degree 4, that scale degree 4 goes up, this scale degree 4 goes down. Now let's look at the 7-7, both the fully diminished and the half diminished. It contains scale degrees 7, 2, 4, and 6. In this part we'll only cover root position uses. We'll look at inversions in the next part. The 7-7 fully diminished contains two different tritones. The tritone between the leading tone and scale degree 4, and the tritone between scale degree 2 and scale degree 6 in the minor key. The half diminished seventh, scale degree 2 and 6 are a perfect fifth apart. This chord has 3 tendency tones, not 2 of them. Leading tone goes up, scale degree 6, which is the 7th of the chord, goes down to scale degree 5, and scale degree 4 goes down to scale degree 3. Scale degree 2 can go either way by step, but we still have the same requirements of avoiding either a diminished or perfect fifth, moving all together to another perfect fifth. And I'll show you how to do this. Remember, in minor keys you have to make a leading tone. So here we are in C minor. There's the root. There's the fifth. D natural and A flat, the 3rd and 7th, makes for another tritone. Tendency, leading tone goes up. So a 7-7 will be going to a root position 1. Scale degree 4 does not go up to G, it goes down to E flat. The A flat will go to G, that's a 7th of the chord, and the D and the alto can go either way. If I take it down, I've got my root doubled. If I take it up, I've got the third of the chord doubled. And we see both of those depending on what the composer wants to do with the voice leading. Here, because we have scale degree 6 going down to scale degree 5, there's really no need to take scale degree 4 up to scale degree 5 because we've already got that covered here. Now, in a major key, I'll write the same kind of chord in C major. The only difference is that this A is now natural, so I've got a perfect fifth between the alto and soprano. So tendency tones, leading tone goes up, 7th of the chord goes down. The tritone B and F resolves now in contrary motion. Those are our tendency tones. And now notice that I can't take this D down to C without a perfect fifth moving to another perfect fifth. So here in root position on a 7 half diminished 7th to 1, it will normally have a doubled third. And in this arrangement, that's how we do it. If I wanted to do it otherwise, I would have to have the D above the A, so now instead of perfect fifth to perfect fifth here, it's perfect fourth to perfect fourth. One more little detail about this in a major key. Sometimes composers liked the sound of the fully diminished 7th chord so much, they'll even use it in a major key. The way they do this is to lower scale degree 6, so we've got an alteration, and we would add an A flat in the key of C major. And then this behaves just as it would here in the minor key. We'll do some practice with this, but that's the principle behind the 7-6 chord and the 7-7, both fully diminished and half diminished.